Howdy, howdy, howdy. Welcome back to MCubed. We got me and we got Schmook, and it's Afterthoughts, and this time for AHSOKA, which we hope will be a tentpole kind of television series for Star Wars and Disney Plus at the moment. It was really nice actually getting to watch it kind of in the evening time and not in the middle of the night this go round, which obviously we're a little spoiled out here on the West Coast because we get it right at our midnight, but at 2 a.m., you don't wake up for that, do you? You just kind of watch it in the morning or the next day typically, huh?
Well, I'll say for me, I remember when Mando, like seasons 1 and 2 were coming out, I wasn't really working or anything, so like I would stay up. But like I knew season 3 was coming out, I'm like, okay, there's no chance I am staying up till 2 a.m. my time to watch a new episode of this show, especially when it wasn't even that good. But
Yeah.
Ahsoka, so blessed that it comes out at a decent hour. And it's today was a different story with it being 2 episodes, so it took like almost probably about an hour, 40 minutes of my night. But I mean, hey, it was a well worthy hour and 40 minutes of my night because solid show, solid show.
It was fucking beautiful. Okay, good. I'm glad I waited till at least a minute. I had to catch myself. I may or may not have had a couple drinks, so the f bombs came out a little quick. But
Ah,
it passed the 1 minute mark, so we're all right. Booyah,
fair
yeah.
enough.
Honestly, I felt like a kid watching that stuff again. It felt like I was watching Rebels for the first time again, and I just was sitting there from the second that front crawl came on. That the crawl just made
Ooh.
me so excited. I just
Oh, the
had
crawl was magic. Magic.
Oh, thank you, Filoni. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Dave. Uh, shall we roll this intro and get into it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Howdy, howdy,
Hi.
howdy, Sci-Fi Quest. Booyah.
Howdy, howdy,
Sorry,
howdy.
I I got to respond to him. But this is Afterthoughts now. Schmook, this is more your realm than mine. We're just talking, hanging out, obviously. But
Oh, yeah.
lead us forward, my friend.
All right. Well, as we know, Star Wars is one of my personal favorite fandoms out there, and I believe it has been lacking quite a bit as of late. I haven't really felt that magic from Disney Star Wars at all outside of the first 2 seasons of Mandalorian. But I do enjoy some I am a big defender of Solo as well as of course Rogue One. But I know Andor I thought was really good, for example, but I it was missing some element that I couldn't really place my my finger on. And I think Ahsoka's showing me what it was missing. And you got to be missing the Force and lightsaber shit, you know. And Ahsoka delivered on it. It delivered. I swear.
Quickly,
I
too.
know someone. I know someone. Wait, what's up?
I said quickly, too.
Quickly, right off the get go. Um, but I know someone mentioned this. I can't remember who it was, but I know it was like kept saying how in these 2 episodes we definitely got way more lightsaber action and fight sequences than we almost did throughout the entire sequel trilogy, which is kind of crazy, you know? Um, but ultimately, from the start of the episode, you see that red Star Wars font, and then you see a bit of a crawl going, you're in for something. And that brings me back to of course, one of Dave Filoni's projects, the last season of Clone Wars that was released on Disney Plus, when it had that red title, and it just brought me back to that because that to me was the most kid-like I have felt from the Disney era of Star Wars, and I think I'm getting that feeling again. When Dave Filoni is fully shepherding something, I know I'm in for a big old treat.
God Emperor Dave Filoni. I love the guy. I love the man.
And you just have to know, like, it's obvious to me that he definitely talks to George like probably every day. He has to. And like with like the whole process of this show, I bet he's like, okay, George, what do you think about this? Like it was your whole idea that like what it like you told me like what if Anakin Skywalker had an apprentice? What are we gonna do with that character going forward? And I think we're in for a treat because we didn't even see like I know these last few trailers you get a lot of like Anakin in them, right? And we haven't even seen or heard him yet. So we're gearing up for some crazy shit.
Okay, you made me think of a couple different things there. We'll roll back to this one real quick, but just the Anakin stuff, and I guess the ethereal aspect of what we saw. Obviously, that room that she kind of cut in and that got blown up, that was kind of holding the map and stuff. It felt very Rebels, like World Between Worlds, wouldn't you
It
say?
did. Oh yeah. No, I agree. I also got that vibe once you get the you get Balin and his apprentice and I can't remember
Morgan,
the lady's name. But yeah,
yeah.
yeah. When they're on that planet and she puts the map in and it makes like a whole map sequence around them, it gave me that vibe too of World Between Worlds. So
That has me excited. We can rope back to that because there's a bunch of cool Night Sister stuff that we might talk about in a little bit. But just you said obviously Anakin's apprentice is Ahsoka, and now we're finally like seeing her as a full-on adult. We didn't really get to see her train Sabine all that much. We really saw Kanan and Ezra kind of helping her out more so, mostly Kanan. Um,
right, it's definitely that time period, like how Rebels ends, of course, before A New Hope. Besides the very last scene of Rebels, which we see within this episode, but in live action, which is pretty
which
dope too. Yeah, so like obviously in that time period, Ahsoka trains Sabine, so it's nice to see that. So I feel like people wouldn't really necessarily be lost if they haven't seen Rebels, but also at the same time, I do think it might be very necessary to watch Rebels to watch this show.
So that's where my brain was at. Was like, so I think honestly, it's kind of, and this is not a bad starting point for people that just want to catch a cool show with a bunch of stuff like a cool action, cool people, cool characters, etc., etc. But knowing what we do know from Tales of the Jedi, Ahsoka, Bad Batch, if Ahsoka ever shows up, and then Rebels, of course. Obviously, we haven't seen her train Sabine as an actual like master apprentice kind of relationship, but I mean, I felt like I knew the way that she would train her because obviously you and we grew up with her as a character and we've watched her develop, and it felt like I would know how she would interact with an apprentice. Did you kind of feel that way? Like, okay, I kind of get where she might be pissed off pulling Anakin or even pulling Ahsoka, and like she even quoted, she left the Jedi. Do you kind of feel like, all right, well, I see where her and Sabine may have butted heads and left each other at a certain point, and I'm freaking pumped for them to come back and hopefully butt heads a little bit more, but push forward and stuff.
Well, it's that interesting aspect of like when you're the one being trained, you might be a little bit more of the rogue one, right? Like where Anakin, of course, was obviously more headstrong and arrogant compared to Obi-Wan, who was training him. But once he got the apprentice Ahsoka, he seemed to more like zone into becoming a teacher. So I think it's the idea of like taking what you learn and putting like your ego aside to try to teach this person what you know. So like, but when you see Sabine, she's obviously a very headstrong individual.
Mm-hmm.
So, which might be very tough for someone like Ahsoka to train because she is someone who just it's her. It's kind of like she knows what's right. You know, like to her, it's just this is the right thing to do. It's my way or the highway type of scenario. But Sabine might butt heads quite a bit. So I see that being the big flaw with their dynamic when she was training her. Um, but it's just based on that time when you're like, okay, you got to put everything aside and actually truly dive into what I am teaching you if you really want to learn what I know. So that's how I kind of see it.
I like that. So would you say honestly is Sabine or Ahsoka more Jedi-like in that way? Because that's kind of Ahsoka's more rigid and kind of making ultimatums, and she has called herself not a Jedi, but she's also hanging out with Huyang and doing a bunch of Jedi things. And Sabine kind of has room, not necessarily for the morally gray. I don't want to like depict Jedi as that way, but they kind of are. They were kind of shitty at times, It's kind of what got
Right.
us the Clone Wars, and everything
Very
past
true.
that. Would you say Ahsoka or Sabine's more Jedi like? Truly though.
Well, ultimately Ahsoka because she was in fact a Jedi. Like being trained by the Jedi, Anakin Skywalker. But I mean, ultimately Sabine is Mandalorian, so like she has this sense of pride, and where Ahsoka I think is more detached from reality, I would say, in terms of like she's focused on just doing the right thing no matter where that goes. Where I say she's just an overall morally good character,
Hmm.
where of course Jedi are meant to be non-political, very gray, not light or dark, left or right, you know. Um, Even though it's all about the light side of the Force. But I mean, of course, you see like Luke Skywalker, he is ultimately the light of the Force in my eyes, where Anakin took on the fully dark side of the Force. And it's all for ultimately good reasons, where Anakin, like, he had to do the worst of the worst to try to save his wife, and that's the only way he could do that is by fully committing to this role. So, but where Ahsoka is completely middle, where I see her as the Jedi of this time. So I think she ultimately stands for what the Jedi are meant to be or supposed to be, but of course, just politics and love and loss play a huge role. And the only big significant loss in her life has been Anakin. And also Ezra. I will say Ezra.
Uh-huh.
Um, but obviously Anakin was the ultimate, like, it's the person that she has loved the most in her life, and she definitely feel also why I think she's a little hesitant to train Sabine is that I think she's afraid to get attached to someone again,
Hmm.
ultimately, like fully, because she, in her eyes, by leaving Anakin, she thinks she failed him. But in reality, it was always meant to go down this way. There's nothing she could have done, I would say, to stop Anakin from going to the dark side. But I think that's where we are now. We just have a very aged Ahsoka who has seen a lot of shit and has even fought her master as Darth Vader.
That's true. I mean, okay, just thinking about that real quick. Did Ahsoka ever get? Do we ever like visually see her grieve for Obi-Wan after all the Rebel stuff went down? I guess I do have the spoilers thing on. So right after Obi-Wan killed Maul, uh, and then I guess it was OG trilogy. Obi-Wan dies, so we never get to see her grieve. 'Cause that's the only other person that she'd be close to
I
besides
mean,
Plo
I
Koon.
agree. Yeah, but I mean, she's probably just assumes after what happened with Order 66 that they're all gone anyway, you know?
But
Like,
would she have known? Because Obi Wan, well, I guess frickin' Obi Wan Kenobi, the series came out after Rebels and all that. But Kenobi's technically a fulcrum agent, right? So there
right.
would be reason for them to know of each other, ish.
That's the thing. And it could be something that gets explored down the road within
That's a
this
good point.
show.
Yeah.
But again, all this being post Return of the Jedi, I see it as well. She's met Luke Skywalker, so she's probably has talked to him about Yoda and Luke, or Yoda and Obi-Wan. So
Hmm.
I'm hoping we get like a flashback scene of some sort, like her like meeting Luke. I would think that would be the coolest thing ever to see the apprentice of Anakin and the son of Anakin. Where again, I think Ahsoka is someone like Anakin has spent way more one-on-one time with Ahsoka than Luke, and actually being Anakin Skywalker. Luke never really knew his father, like as Anakin Skywalker, except in his dying moments. So that's the interesting factor. Like I just want to see her and Luke converse about all the knowledge that they have gathered about Anakin Skywalker. So I think that'd be cool. I'm really hoping for that type of scene. Of course, I feel like a lot of these gaps are going to be bridged once we see Anakin as a Force ghost within the show because that's on the horizon. Like it's in a trailer, um, and of course hearing his voice. So and I'm so ready to see Hayden again. I always
Oh,
love seeing him there.
it's gonna be so freaking cool. As good, I mean, 'cause I mean, yeah, I think the personal aspect of Ahsoka is going to be able to tell Luke. that kind of stuff so much better than I guess Luke does have R2, so he can look through R2's archives whenever, but that's a hologram, like secondhand, third-hand depiction of what's actually going on.
It's
It'd be
not that
nice.
human. It's not that human element of like this is my POV of your father.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
how I've seen him, which is different than getting a legitimate recording of the person in my eyes. Maybe that's the most unbiased way of looking at it, but I like that idea that you get that human aspect, even though they're, aliens, not human beings,
Oh yeah.
but still, just that making it more personable. And I think that's something I think Luke would obviously really dive into and enjoy. Just having this person that spent countless hours with his father, just swapping war stories.
Okay, just real quick though, would you rather them keep doing CG Luke, deep fake Luke, or would you rather them just recast Sebastian Stan as Luke Skywalker and let him play?
I mean, I would prefer Sebastian Stan, but in reality, we're going to get better looking CGI, like deep fakes. So that's just what's going to happen. They've already tested those waters with Indiana Jones, and
But Indiana Jones is technically one of the biggest movie flops in history.
oh yeah,
So is it worth
but
that?
it doesn't have to do with the CGI. I don't think so. It just has to do with
It didn't help
her
per se.
perception. No, no, no. I mean,
It's
that's not
almost
the
like they
ultimate
had to
draw,
take.
but you can't tell me the biggest buzz around when Luke Skywalker came back in Mandalorian season 2 wasn't the biggest thing out there.
Oh, it was, but Sebastian Stan was just.
I agree. I mean, it's that, it's the human element, instead of
Yeah.
having some person like just stand in and then you have some computer robot dealio, like just it feels wrong, obviously, and you lose something there. But again, like if it's undetectable to our eye one of these days, then what's really the difference? And that's the scary aspect of it. But
Book of Boba Fett looked a hell of a lot better than Mando did.
oh, and that is besides the last season of Clone Wars that we got, and yeah, I'd say that besides that, that Book of Boba Fett episode is my single favorite piece of Disney Star Wars. So I just like being able to hear Luke talk about Yoda, talking about that to Grogu, and you have Mando there, you have Ahsoka there. So it's just wild.
It was amazing. I just wish it wasn't in Book of Boba Fett, so Book of Boba Fett would have made more sense. But it
Book
was
of Boba
also
Fett should
the
have
best
never been
episode.
Mando. Book of Boba Fett should have never been Mando season 2.5. That's one thing. Because that's what makes Mandalorian season 3 feel so much weaker because it's like, oh, you watch Mando season 2 and you're like, oh, I can just watch Mando season 3, but oh, Grogu's back? What? Crazy. Yes, I agree,
Legit,
Sci-Fi Quest. I
legit.
agree.
We could have a whole nother freaking live stream about all that. That's just pissed me off. I think you said it in was it a video or a live stream recently that Book of Boba Fett you're more of an apologist for, or you didn't use.
I am
I'm with
ultimately.
you. I'm with you.
I don't think it's that bad, like where a lot of people completely dog on it. I liked it more than Andor and Kenobi. So,
Ooh, I don't know about that.
well, that's
Andor
me.
might be one of my favorite Star Wars projects ever, just because I love the
I
quality
think
of
it's
it.
really. I think the quality, of course, is masterful. Like, and the acting's great. But I don't know. There's something about Boba Fett, and I see Luke, and I like the character of Mando and Grogu. So it's just it all adds up to me being more
Oh,
enjoyable. But that's more like piquing my fan, like my nerdiness,
I
where Andor is just like overall a better quality show. I enjoy Book of Boba Fett more.
yeah. Book of Boba Fett was a good show. I, yeah, no, I'm with you on. I agree. Like everything's so much more fun, and it feels, I guess, more Star Warsy. But
Well,
I
that's what I
do,
want. I want it to feel like Star Wars.
yeah. I'm also a big old schnob when I can be with movies and stuff. I like that I don't like to say it all the time, but I do like my. I don't want to say elite movies or whatever, but like like the stuff that
I
Brad was
understand.
talking about with some Criterion stuff, like that's
And I think, of course, there's always room for that within Star Wars. I think Andor's a big stepping stone to get stuff like that, where it's complete, but I want it completely in a different time frame. And like when I'm within the realm of like Darth Vader is walking around out there, or Obi-Wan Kenobi, or Yoda, or like Han Solo, I want to see that stuff more.
But
So
I kind of want to see
that's why Rogue
Darth
One
Vader
works.
handled by Andor people. I mean, obviously he was a little bit in Rogue One because
Yes,
Gilroy kind of played with him at the end of the movie a little bit, but that could have been just as much Gareth Edwards.
sure. And I think if you get a Tony Gilroy, like once Andor's done and like it's considered a success, and they still want to work with Gilroy, who I think is a masterful writer, I'd like to see him handle a more popular character like a Vader. Like just like let's say right after Revenge of the Sith, like immediately after. I think that would be a sick show.
Ugh. I'd love to see the process of Sidious not giving him like good cybernetics and trying to figure out which ones actually they're going to stick with. Because I mean, he could have given him General Grievous level cybernetics, and he'd been some
Right?
freaking katana wielding like sci-fi
I think
badass.
I think that would be sick. And then as well as where Anakin or Vader has to retrain how to use a lightsaber based on him not having any limbs anymore, and they're all robotic now. So that'd be a cool sequence of scenes in my eyes, where you just have Vader reteaching himself how to fight. So I think that'd be cool.
Just give us more Christensen. Any Hayden Christensen we can get, just please,
I agree, and
please.
I would say more Ewan as well. So because I love him, and I really liked Kenobi. I don't think I've really truly disliked anything. Ultimately, the only one I think I've been the most disappointed with is Mando season three. I think to me, besides the sequels, I think that's my least favorite of Disney era stuff. Where I haven't been that disappointed otherwise. Obviously, Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker leave the biggest poor taste in my mouth. Um, because it's just it could have been so much more instead of it becoming more of like popcorn films, where Star Wars has always been more than that. It's
Yeah,
deeper and it can still make money for you. Um, but yeah, I just think Mando season three was ultimately the only truly disappointing thing in my eyes because you get the Bad Batch of things good, Tales of the Jedi, last season of Clone Wars, and then all the live action stuff. I think has all killed it besides the Mando season three. But I think that solely has to do with the executives coming in and saying, Favreau, you got to do this, and that's always a pain in the ass. And I agree there, Sci-Fi Quest. I mean, it becomes the Bo-Katan show. Is she the Mandalorian? Like, who is Din Djarin? You know?
I was okay with that bit. I love Katie Sackhoff and I love Bo-Katan. I mean,
I
I've
agree. I
watched
like it.
anything and everything Katie Sackhoff possible besides Babylon. Is it Babylon 5? No, that's not it. It's
Gotcha.
oh god, Sci-Fi Quest SOS. Is I know it's not Babylon 5. It's she played Starbuck is the character name. I don't know why I can't remember the thing. Anyway, super popular thing that I of course can't remember. But I love Katie Sackhoff. I wasn't really pissed off with it being the Bo-Katan show. Honestly,
Fair
with
enough.
me
I just
just
don't
being,
like. Oh, go on. Go ahead.
I don't know. I was just gonna say, with me being as much of just a little like Clone Wars nerd that I am, I loved Mando season 3. It's not quality, like it's not Andor quality, and I love Andor quality. I think Kenobi probably hurt me the most besides Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker because of what it could be. That's what the hell it was.
And,
Battlestar Galactica.
oh, nice.
One of those things. Uh,
I agree with you there. Like the potential of Kenobi was monumentous, and they didn't quite deliver. They delivered remarkable scenes and moments, but overall a very weak show. And I agree that. So I do find Kenobi. That's probably my second, besides the sequels, my second least appreciative part of the new Star Wars canon.
I,
You know?
well, I mean, okay. Before we get off track, I just looked at the time. We're 25 minutes into this thing. We're already talking about this shows you how bad the brand degradation has been. If we're 25 minutes into this and we're already talking about how like our least favorite Star Wars properties, Ahsoka's bringing this brand back.
It might be. It might be.
Fingers crossed, at least.
Yeah, I mean, of course, I think what Disney Plus has been really great at has been delivering right off the get-go with mostly every single show. Um, where it's that hook and reel element, right? So let's see if that continues. I do like how they are structuring this show so far. It feels like it's watching each part of it's like a mini series or like just a long movie where it's like after each episode it's going to go right into it and continue until the story's finished. Where Mando, of course, is more like open ended, where it's like, oh, you're doing the main objective and you can do a side quest. With this, I don't think there's no room for that. I think they have to tell this story. We have to get the Thrawn returning and we have to take him down. So I'm very intrigued with how they do that. Of course, I think this season's going to end with a cliffhanger because I think it has to lead into this supposed Dave Filoni live action movie. So, we'll see.
Yeah. Okay. I had a thought. It kind of went out of my brain while the second thought came in. But thinking about the second thought, first of all, Rip Ray Stevenson. I love the dude. Amazing.
Right, and he's fantastic in this too. Like anytime he's on screen, I'm like, oh, I'm digging this guy. No doubt.
Perfect. So just a couple thoughts about that is he feels like just from the few lines he's already been given, I feel like they're going to try to redeem him by the end. And maybe they might not redeem him, but he feels like a character that would be redeemed in the future. Or if not him, his death would maybe coerce his Padawan to be redeemed to the light side. That's just my thought process. I hope not. Obviously, we have no idea because we're just waiting for the next 6 weeks, but I doubt that they killed Baylan Skoll off.
I don't know. I mean, I could see it.
If they didn't, would you rather them recast him?
I don't know. It just depends on if his character ultimately serves his purpose. I just kind of see his arc kind of being like a loyalist to what the Jedi were in a way. And Ahsoka could remind him of that. And he could go out in a hero's death of sorts, I think. So I think that could have already been shot and planned already. So again, we won't know until the show's over if he's still alive or not. So that's a hypothetical scenario for whenever the show's done that, of course, we will eventually talk about once we get to the finale, I'm sure.
So my brain process of my forward speculation over here, I'm thinking he might do that cool takeout on Marok, not Merrick, which I thought it was Merrick, but now it's Marok, which makes sense, I guess. So it's not Galen Merrick. Okay, I'm okay with that. But just my brain goes to him taking out him by the end of the series and that being his redeeming moment. Obviously, I have zero basis to base any of that off of.
Sure. Yeah.
I just feel like that's the only thing that we've seen so far that would fit that bill. Also, hootie hoo! If you want to come hang out, let me know. I know Chillin was just streaming as well, but hey, we can bring more if we want.
Yeah, I do know I probably have to go here pretty soon, hate to say. But I do want to ultimately say the future is bright, in my opinion, as of right now. I thought this was a great premiere. Of course, I'm very pleased that they decided to do 2 episodes. And it felt like a long movie to open up this series where I could see honestly each episode after this, besides the finale only being like half an hour. I haven't really looked at the runtimes, but I remember they're mostly shorter compared to these first 2 episodes.
We only know the next one. It's 31 minutes, I think.
And that makes sense to me.
It does, but I want it to be longer so bad.
I know, but I just know how Filoni acts. It seems like he's going big with like a movie scale thing, and it's going to start to feel more like a show, kind of like a regular Clone Wars type of arc or Rebels arc. But then once it gets to like a final 2 episodes, it'll feel like a movie, So that's how I see it. I think let's see, how long is it? 8 or 9 episodes?
It's only 7 episodes.
Only 7? Oh,
yeah.
Shit.
It's
Well
only a
then,
month and a half.
well then I can see the next 3 episodes feeling like one mini movie, I guess, and then the last 2 episodes being like a full-on big movie. So I see it kind of being like a trilogy of sorts, but just obviously displayed differently for television.
That makes sense. That's kind of like the way he does it, and it's the
I think
way
he
Andor
structured
is
it.
handled, which he obviously was creative director of. Which thankfully he's in that position at Lucasfilm now.
Yeah.
Uh,
He needs to be on every project that he can be. At least put voice his opinions on stuff. He doesn't have to be the full creative head of each show, even though that would be nice. But he's just one guy. Then that becomes a Kevin Feige role where he's too busy to be on every project. So um, I think he's just someone who just ultimately does not care too much about his own personal legacy. He cares more about George's legacy. He wants to continue that. And I think that's a brilliant thing. I think he's not a very egotistical individual in Hollywood. He wants to share some of his stories, but he wants to use his art and what he is skilled at to continue uh, that just the legacy of George Lucas. That feeling that we are watching what was inside George's brain when he created this universe.
and this felt so George. I loved it. I mean, I got my Avatar shirts that I wear just as much as my Star Wars stuff, which I had to go Ahsoka for this one. Had to go Ahsoka. Filoni did a bunch of Avatar, The Last Airbender. He directed a bunch of it, and then George Lucas scooped him up from there as a protege. And good frickin' lord, he ran our childhoods, and I'm so glad he's running our adulthood still too. Like, it's beautiful.
Now, what would you say are the odds of us seeing Captain Rex in this show?
Can I answer that with a counter question?
Ooh, okay.
What are the odds that he survived the Battle of Endor?
Interesting. Who knows? Well, I guess we'll find out.
Because that's kind of the last time we saw him, technically, right? Because they claim that Rex is that extra that had the big scruffy beard.
Yes. That's true. That's a true statement. I mean, I just don't see why you wouldn't use him. Like Tamora obviously wants to keep working in Star Wars, so use him. And he's so good. And like you can have him play any single clone or Django or Boba for however long he can. So and he's cheap. He's not in anything else really, so why not?
I mean, Aquaman is the only thing that I guess is paying him besides this right now.
Right. And yeah, he was in Flash for a little bit, but whatever.
Oh yeah, he was, wasn't he?
Yeah. Fun little cameo, but whatever.
I don't want to agree with you, but I do.
Yeah, I think so. I think Shin has potential to be a really interesting character. Balin, I just like his presence ultimately more than anything. I just know from that first sequence, I'm like, oh, this guy means business, and he's just a big boy, So it's I also really ultimately something I wanted to mention also before I have to go. I just really enjoyed just the art direction of this entire these two episodes, as well as just costume design. I thought all of it was brilliant. Like I like seeing what Lothal looks like in live action, like seeing we've seen Ahsoka, but I like seeing Hera in live action. I think everything to do with Sabine, like her speeder bike, like I love the colors on that.
That moment under that X-wing was fucking dope. That wasn't an X-wing, but that moment under the ship was really cool.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I liked that music too. The score was great. So overall, I just think good performances. It's well written, score, art direction, everything. I think we're in for a treat. You can tell that they're it's getting some sort of Andor production budget. I would say I don't know the exact cost of this series. I assume it will be less than what Andor was, but it looks good to me. The only times where I'm like, I don't know if I'm love this looks kind of green screeny to me. I think is when they were on they were at the like the scrapyard or whatever, or like the refill station, like basically the big gas station or whatever. They're on like that one thing just going through. There's just some shots of Ahsoka. You see like stuff moving in the background. It just looks a little wonky to me. But it also kind of just feels like a Clone Wars scene or something, like where you just see these moving things in the background. So it's like it works. It's not like too jarring. It's something that I'm like, huh, okay.
Yeah,
But
I only
overall, I
had
think
one moment of that.
What's up?
I only had one moment of that for both episodes, which it was really early on in that first episode, right as she's like shooting her lightsabers down in the ground to do her little spin move to get down to the basement of that world between worlds kind of spot. I feel like I can see where the screen of the medium starts and where the floor ends, you know? But besides that, I felt pretty good. Besides, those like big sprawling scenes, like you were saying, stuff like that.
Right. I think there's just certain instances, but I think, overall, I think the CG is really good in this show. And ultimately, my biggest takeaways are I think Ahsoka needs to do a little bit more. Like she has really cool fighting sequences, but I don't think she's kind of doing is crossing her arms and like being like, whatever. But she says some cool stuff here and there. But like, I don't know, it's really Sabine's show so far, I would say.
I was about to say, yeah.
Yeah, but is it called Ahsoka or Sabine? So we'll see. But I do want to see more Hera. I do really like her. I love seeing Chopper in episode 2. I love seeing that dynamic in live action between Hera and Chopper. Like it felt like I was watching Rebels again, which is awesome. Very underrated show. Like I feel like it's just because it was like on Disney XD and whatnot, and it was like the spiritual successor to the Clone Wars in a way, with like kind of like a weirder animation. I think people would probably dig Rebels more if it had more of the Clone Wars type of animation, but I still think the animation is pretty good for the most part, and I recommend it quite a bit. But I see it.
Rebels is my singular favorite Star Wars thing ever.
It's yours?
I love Rebels. I love Rebels.
Rebels is sick, and I just like seeing this crew back together and in live action. So it's good to see.
It felt seamless too. Like it just felt like those characters crawled onto our real screen. It felt like Across the Spider-Verse in some way, where it was like, okay, animation and live action, and it just feels natural in some way.
Yeah, it feels good. Feels real good.
It was cool, and for next to none of them being the actual, I guess, characters that they voiced, like actor-wise,
right?
It works super well. I think Clancy Brown was the only guy that played the actual character that he was.
I agree.
And what's his name? He's the governor or whatever now, but it's Adianta or Adzanti or Adazanta or something like that.
Yeah, just the governor, but I can't remember his name. But yeah, that is awesome to see, and you got to put Clancy Brown in if you can.
Yeah, I think that's that. He plays the Deveronian in season 1 of Mandalorian. He voices Savage Opress. He's got to have at least 4 or 5 Star Wars roles. The only person that could outdo him is maybe Sam Witwer for Maul, Galen Merrick. I'm saying it in Pig Latin at this point. And like Sidious and everybody else. Hold up. We've got one Aaron here as Schmook, and now we've got Aaron in the basement, chilling in the basement.
What's up, big man?
What up, Schmook?
Howdy.
How we doing?
What up, Harris? How you doing, man?
Good, man. How are you?
Good. You still have leaky pipes?
I love the way you phrase that. Not sort of, kind of. I have a temporary patch on the leaky pipes, and I'm happy that it is patched, and I have running water again, which was a hassle during California's apocalypto day of yesterday.
Great.
But it was fun. It was a fun one.
Well, I hate to say, especially when you just got here, I should probably get out of here. I need to get some Z's. I'm, like 2 hours ahead of y'all. Got to wake up early for work. But hey, had a lot of fun.
Actually, I'm in Eastern.
Yeah, he's an hour ahead of you. Crazy, man.
I'm in Michigan.
Shall we end on this? This is a good place to enter for one errand and a good place to exit for the next errand.
Yeah. But hey, awesome show. I highly recommend it, and I can't wait for more. And we're gonna go at it again next week, right, buddy?
Yes, sir. What do you think? Sci-Fi says, according to IMDb, Tamara is already cast as Rex.
Yeah, but I think IMDb anyone can hypothetically log in and put that. But
That's a good
Wikipedia.
point. Yeah.
But hey, we can dream. A man can dream.
But
all I know is I need to see Hayden very soon, and I know the second I see that, I'm gonna have a nerd boner. So can't wait.
Immediately. Real quick, the last comment. Shin. The 3 things I have written down for Shin are fucking cool, scary, hot. What were the 3 things I have written down?
Yes, all 3. Checks all the boxes.
All
right, guys. Hey, I will catch y'all very soon.
Speaking of checking boxes, how about Shins?
Peace, boys.
Later, mate. Hello.
Howdy.
What's up?
What boxes are we checking?
Shins.
Hot. Sorry. That's all that.
Shins with my face.
Por favor.
Yeah. Like now, thanks to one Mary Elizabeth Winstead is Harrison Dula, I now have 3 green sets of cheeks I would clap, which would be hers, She-Hulk's, and the green alien bitch from the Michael Bay Star Trek.
Did you completely forget about?
Gamora 4. Yes, I did 4.
I was about to say Zoe Saldana. Come on.
Yeah, 4. 4.
I'm with you on those 4. Honestly, we don't need to get into this too much. Obviously, we'll talk about it a little more lighthearted than I guess most folk would. But this show had every potential to be the wokest show possible and all. It's completely lady-led. But I was glued to it every freaking millisecond of what was there. The acting was great. The only thing I was I wish Mary Elizabeth Winstead would lean into like the Frenchness of Twi'leks just a little bit. Yeah. But Hera doesn't even do that all the time. She kind of goes back and forth anyway.
No. She's like most people. She's like most people with an accent when they're around a bunch of people without one. Is like they end up only really getting the thick accent when they're like agitated or some shit.
Oh, totally.
I used to work with one of my coworkers is from Britain, and like you could hear it some when he speak normally, but when he got riled up, it was hilarious. Like the phrases started flowing. It was fucking great.
That just keeps it entertaining.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, no. I like every millisecond I was glued to it. Schmook and I were just saying a minute ago, like him and I obviously we're these youngins out here, but we grew up with it. Dave Filoni, I think, introduced the version of Clone Wars that we got when we were 7 years old. So like this has been a staple of like my life, you know? And it really feels like animation just turned into live action, and it done so seamlessly. It was gorgeous. I love it so far too, John. It's amazing. Sabine always looks good. I'm just saying. Sabine never didn't look good. Oh. Well, I guess Aaron does not agree. We've got a couple Sabine fans around here, but not as many as we thought. Are you the Sabine fan we thought you were? Because you left right as we started.
No, I hit the wrong goddamn button. That's all. No, I like Sabine. I actually thought Ms. Bordizzo did a fine job. I think she captured. I think she captured the attitude of what we're used to seeing in the animation quite well.
No, I agree. I thought they all did. The only one I was a little hesitant on was just the Ezra hologram, but I can't really judge that much off of a freaking hologram at the same time. So
no, not really.
Yeah.
From what I understand, From what I understand, we're gonna we get 2 more episodes in this galaxy, and then episode 5 we jump a few months, I guess, and into the new beyond.
Okay, Schmook and I were kind of conversing more on the ground level of things, and we can go back into the ground level of stuff. But obviously, the rumor, the speculation, the idea that we think that we know of what is going on is they're going to be in that the beyond or whatever they're calling it, and it's going to be a different galaxy. It's going to be a different spot where the Night Sisters from Dothamir are from originally.
Yep.
And did they not just lay that shit out just like flat on the ground for us in the first 2 episodes? They were like, yep, we are going right here. Hop on your train and let's get moving.
Yep. Hop on that corridor and go see us some Thrawn. Dude, how stoked were you when we actually got glowy green Night Sister magic to float that ball up?
Like,
yeah.
How stoked are you? My face, like, literally for the entire... Okay, the second episode, I was probably much more, like, you know, like, intent watching just what's going on. But that first episode, from the moment the crawl, like, I jumped out of my seat when the crawl came on. I was just like...
It's a crawl.
Just a crawl. It felt... Schmook kept calling it cinematic. I want to say shinematic. Schmook and shinematic. Schmook said it was cinematic, and I had to completely agree with him because it felt like an hour and a half film with both of them together. And I kind of wish they would have just put this all into one episode and air it that way. But I'm okay with it. It didn't really matter to me one way or another at the end of the day because they released it this way.
Yeah.
Oh, it was great.
Dude, there's like outside of what we think we know from leaks, do you realize we've already gotten through like 75% of the fucking trailer? And like the rest of it's probably coming next episode. We're going to go into the whole new Beyond set of episodes completely fucking blind outside of leaks.
I just want to manifest it. There's no rumor, speculation, or whatever. I don't think if you've heard anything, you let me know because I'm desperate for this to happen. But we got Zeb in season 3 of Mando. Just for the moment.
Yep.
Can they pick him up on the way to the Beyond, please? I need Zeb so bad. That
would be dope.
Him and Callus may be 2 of my absolute favorite. I told Schmook, Rebels is my singular favorite Star Wars project I think that's ever been made. I think it was just the time of my life that I watched it. I've rewatched it a few times. Every time it hits better and better. It builds upon what was already there. It builds upon what has come since then. It's kind of just the perfect amalgamation of Star Wars, I feel like, and Ahsoka could be the furtherment of that. But I completely lost what I was saying at the very beginning of that. There was a question that I just started gushing about Rebels into. What the hell was I saying? I
lost it. I
know.
track.
I got too excited about Rebels.
I mean, I don't blame you. That show's fucking great.
I just started thinking about it. I also finished my drink at the in the middle of all that, which probably didn't help that at all. Any sci-fi? You still here? What was my dumb self saying? I started gushing, but why was I gushing? Because Night Sister magic. We were talking about Night Sister stuff, and then the Beyond.
Yep.
Oh, I feel like I had a good question out of it. Hopefully someone thinks about it. Where's Sabine's jetpack? That's a great question.
It's probably in a cargo spot on the Ghost.
Totally. Where Revan rules a far galaxy holding Thrawn prisoner and Ezra as his apprentice. I don't think Revan's going to be any part of it. He's long dead. He was a human.
Yeah.
As cool as it would be, if we're going to see Revan, we need to go back and see Revan, you know? Magic? I agree with you. I don't agree that it wasn't enough green magic. I think it was like just enough green magic probably, but I agree that she's probably not a powerful Night Sister. It doesn't seem like she's been utilizing it very much, and I feel like the Night Sisters tend to do better in like their own grounds. Like Asajj was very much, yeah, she was with droids all the time, but she was very much like her own agent in that way, where Morgan Elsbeth has kind of not been her own agent and kind of has been more like an executive role, so she probably wouldn't have practiced all those things, is kind of my guess there.
Yeah. Well, we still got 6 episodes left. She could still end up doing something fucking freaky.
And she's starting to get that magic practicing back, and she wants to impress her Night Sisters back in her homeland, so who knows?
Yeah.
Just messing with Revan stuff, but we need a Revan movie or series, totally.
Yes.
I don't think it should be Keanu. I think Keanu 15 years ago, yes. Keanu 10 years ago, sure. He's just too old for it now, and there's someone that's younger that we may or may not be able to think of off the top of our heads, but you get a good casting agent going, cast somebody in their 30s, and let them play that for years. It'd be great.
Right.
I'm kind of with you, but it's fun to speculate at the same time. Obviously, as we tend to do, going on sidetrack and watching Den of Nerds and all these different things that we tend to find ourselves in.
Were you in Josh's watch party?
I wasn't. I was trying to get drinks for myself to watch Ahsoka, and of course, it was right around 5 o'clock traffic here, which the only bad thing about it premiering earlier in the day, it was like, oh, shit, now I got to deal with traffic. But, can't complain. So I was a little later home than I expected it to be to start it. So we started a little later than I wanted to, but I guess I didn't watch anything. I smoked a little bit, did a Snapchat kind of, hey, come watch the stream in a little bit kind of thing. And well, that was it. I turned it on and just sat there giddy as a girl on Wednesday watching Mean Girls or something, That was like whatever. Is it Wednesdays you wear pink is how it goes or whatever?
Something like that. I don't fucking know.
Tuesdays I wear Tano. That's my new thing.
I would love to wear Tano.
Yes. Ashley Eckstein or Rosario Dawson, either one. But have you seen those Star Wars Theory, that fleece or whatever that he had? I may or may not have ordered one. It's too good looking. It's too good looking.
Yeah, well, I already went in for one of the soft cover of Josh's comic, so.
Oh, I'm thinking about that. Everything sounds really cool. I
mean, you literally have a month to come up with the money because they don't even charge you till the Kickstarter's over.
That's a good point. Let's monetize this channel as fast as we can.
I mean, the $30 one is, it's $45 with shipping, but I mean, it's the whole book. It's not just a fuck around thing, and plus that 10-minute digital dealie that you get.
Is it 50 for the gold cover one?
Yes.
Yeah, and then 200 for the fancy one. I don't need all that.
Yeah, well, it's the fancy one, a numbered hoodie, and something else. I can't remember.
Well, for anybody that's watching this currently or comes back and watches this in the future, go support Den of Nerds, Josh Lucas over there. YouTubers making their own projects, not just content, but projects. That's what we like to see. That's what we like to do.
Yeah, him doing a Kickstarter. No and no.
I know that's funny. I know I'm a silly bastard. I don't know if I can even make a joke out of that. Both are so bad.
Not even no.
I love them both as human beings and actors in most things, but I legitimately can't think of someone that would actually play Revan. Well,
I mean, do they really need to be in their 30s? Because, we have a Cavill who looks young. He doesn't really look his age. And he can pull off evil.
Yeah.
He can totally pull off evil. And good. See, that's the thing, because you got to be able to do both if you're going to be Revan.
Mm-hmm. Was he that big in stature, though? because Cavill just comes off as huge in stature. Where I
Revan?
feel like
I have no idea what his bodily dimensions were.
I feel like Keanu's that kind of like, he's probably tall, but like lanky tall in that sense. Probably.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, all he has to do is stop working out for a few months.
What about Adam Driver as Revan?
Yeah, that'll work.
But we can't for the Kylo. But like,
yeah.
Oh, Adam Van Gessen. Oh, I don't know if we've ever seen you here before. Howdy, man. How you doing? Independently created stuff is the next big thing. Rippaverse is a great example. Totally. I never ended up reading all that. I really wanted to. I like Eric July a lot. I've always kind of followed him on Twitter and just kept up with him. He's just an entertaining kind of guy. How were the comics? I have no idea. Did you read them, Aaron, or not?
No, I haven't read them.
Well, let us know, y'all, because honestly, I've thought about that, and that's kind of the easiest. It sucks to compare, but it's obviously the easiest thing to do in the world is just compare something to another thing that seems similar. But yeah, that Josh Lucas's Unity is the most comparable thing I can think of. Would probably be Eric July's Rippaverse, and that's a good pulse to start at, I guess. Obviously, very different artists, very different takes on the comics that they are creating, but I'm excited to see more independent things come and pop up in the future from every little direction, where it be comics, movies, etc.
Yeah, I mean, fucking Unity does actually look legit dope, though. I'm not just saying that because I like Josh. That shit looks dope.
It looks cool, and the trailers that he's made for it look really, really cool. I've followed Eric July for probably 2 or 3 times as long as I have Josh, but I'd probably be about 2 or 3 times more likely to order a Unity comic than I would a Rippaverse comic. I'm just being real and honest, but I would check out both for the sake of it,
right?
And just supporting for the support's sake, but also. The Unity stuff looks really cool. And I feel like he started getting really excited about it right around this time, like Invincible came out, which I don't know if those two correlate at all or anything like that. I don't think they truly will. Obviously, it's his own idea.
Mm-hmm.
But if that's the thing that excites you to get back into like really promoting and getting this thing like pushed forward, that's exciting, I feel like. Back to Ahsoka. Good point. Did you see Sabine looking hot in that speeder bike?
Yeah.
Yes.
And also looking hot walking into the conference room on the Ahsoka ship, and also hot when she was on the screen at any fucking point in time, basically.
I watched her first when I was a kid, and now my thoughts have stayed the same for years. Where can I find a Sabine Wren in real life is what I'm looking for. I had a moment in there where I was like, this is just really good looking, really badass Indiana Jones, but like millennial and female version. And it works perfectly.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it just toss it in a little sci-fi and it works absolutely perfectly. And somehow they weren't able to get that across in Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. And I like Phoebe Waller-Bridge, but I don't know who wrote it, because I don't think James Mangold really wrote it.
I don't think so.
It doesn't feel like something James Mangold truly wrote. I don't know how they messed that up so bad, because 2 months later they come up with this, and my faith has been restored. And not Lucasfilm entirely,
no,
but it's getting there. Those are still big words.
Yeah. Here's how I see it: we get 6 more weeks. We get 6 more weeks of awesomeness, and then we'll see what we'll see.
But every time anything animated comes out, we get just as much goodness for just as long.
Oh yeah, well that's because that's still Dave.
That's true. But now that he's like creative director and everything, I think he was promoted to that role in 2020. So really, Andor and Mando season 3 would have been the first things that have come out since he's been truly, I guess, creative director that would have been enacted after he was given that title.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's kind of a 50-50 in most people's books. That's probably a pretty high up in my books, just because I love Filoni stuff. I need more Bad Batch myself. One more season.
Yeah, we get one more season.
I wish we had more, but one more season.
Yeah. I don't see how this season could have as much filler as the last two. Like, I think we actually could end up with actually a shorter season, so they just like stay on point and do their thing.
Well, I see Filoni. I trust old God Emperor Dave Filoni, as I've grown accustomed to calling him. He does things that feel like filler to make them not filler down the road, and they're either truly like character developmental moments, which I don't think has been like as heavy-handed in Bad Batch, just because they're all clones and they're dissimilar, but they're very similar at the same time still.
Yeah.
So I feel like the filler moments are going to be paid off much better in Bad Batch. And that's one of the reasons why I'm like, why are we only getting one more season? How is he going to pay off this stuff in one more season? But I feel like that Dragon episode from season 1 where Omega just gets lost for half a freaking episode, and it's kind of like, what are we doing? We need to get back to like something going on. I feel like that needs to be paid off. There are 1 or 2 other episodes from season 1, and then there's maybe like a couple things from season 2 of I don't remember the community, but that ocean kind of community that they continue to go back to. I feel like
with Fat Mace Windu.
Yeah, Fat Mace Windu. I feel like they need to be paid off. Just something else there, just a little bit. But for the most part, I feel like Bad Batch has been great.
No, I enjoy it a lot. I mean, like, honestly, when that and Mando season 3 were going concurrently on the same fucking day, like, there was multiple weeks where the Bad Batch episode was better than the Mando episode.
Half the time, it was great.
Like, multiple weeks. It was crazy. Like, that shouldn't happen, but it did. I'm not saying Mando should best Bad Batch. I'm saying they should be running pretty damn equal in quality.
Yes, no, I agree, but ultimately Mando should outdo Bad Batch just a little bit, just because of your dollar quota there, you know.
Yeah, there's that.
And it's not Jon Favreau, because Jon Favreau is a freaking genius. Obviously, he does have his mishaps. There's Iron Man 2. There's Book of Boba Fett, I guess you could even say, even though Schmook and I are apologists.
I feel like Book of Boba Fett and Mando 3 are a result of him and Kathy butting heads, like, straight up. I don't know what the excuse for Iron Man 2 is, although I don't hate it anywhere near as much as a lot of people do. No.
In recent years, you go back to Iron Man 2, and it looks so much better than it ever did. But did you see Blue Beetle yet?
Not yet.
I will give you nothing besides Blue Beetle is literally just Iron Man 2 done right with a different character.
Oh, okay.
Like, it literally, the plot is nearly the exact same. I really, really had a good time with Blue Beetle, but it is so derivative. There's nothing original in the entire movie. I'm okay with it though, but there's nothing original in the entire movie. The
box office be reflecting that right now too.
Yeah.
At least it was the only saving grace of that right now is the fact that they made it so cheaply because it was originally going to be just on Max anyway. So as compared to most comic book movie budgets these days, that was actually pretty minuscule. Like, they barely what 120, I think, was what it was.
which is
I've
how
heard
they should all be made. But
I've heard 105. I've heard 120. I don't know, but anyway, even going on the high end, 120 ain't shit for a comic book movie.
and yeah, it might have only made $28 million for its opening weekend, but if it's in the theaters for another 2 months without any other comic book movies or anything like that that are really there to compete against it,
I feel like it could get it could get legs. It could get legs. I think word of mouth is going to have to be really strong. Like how Elemental started off like that, then word of mouth got in and just kind of kept chugging on behind the scene, just under the radar, but it was still there, just doing its thing. Blue Beetle could happen to Blue Beetle too. I can see that happening.
No, I agree with you. Blue Beetle's suit looks too much like Yellow Jacket from Ant-Man. Ooh, now that you're saying that, yes and no, but like mostly, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's mostly just the legs.
Yeah,
it's the legs.
He uses it better. He uses it much better. But I see what you're saying. That is one thing I noticed so far. There's zero filler, and I'm assuming Ahsoka is what he meant to say.
Yeah. For the most part, yeah.
Pretty.
I wouldn't quite say zero.
What would you say was?
I feel like they probably could have done episode 1 in about 45 minutes, maybe 46 or 47. Like,
what would you have taken off?
Just a little bit of the Hera Ahsoka back and forth. Like some of that was just elongated here and there. But I'm nitpicking. I am nitpicking like a motherfucker right now, though, because that's all I can do with this show is nitpick.
I like it because that's like an editor's mindset. I don't know if you've ever done any editing or anything like that, but you have the mindset for it just for doing that alone.
Yeah. But other than that, and like some kind of weak fight choreography, I really have nothing much else to bitch about.
That's I lost my question for a second. You reminded me. Do you think that those moments were necessary for people that had not seen Rebels and Clone Wars, though? That they needed just a little bit more dialogue and exposition from maybe Hera just to kind of like wrap their heads around what was actually going on in this world?
I still think they didn't need quite that much because I don't know that they were establishing information so much as a dynamic, and they really established that fairly quickly, in my opinion.
Yeah. So with the
literally that crawl covered everything you really needed to know anyway. So like that was actually pretty. I wasn't expecting that. That was a fucking smart ass move by Filoni there.
And crawls are so freaking useful, like for that purpose. Like,
right?
So great.
Yeah, I didn't see that shit coming. That was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. You never saw Rebels or Clone Wars. Did that affect your viewing of this at all? Let us know because you're completely different perspective.
Did you at any point feel lost, like you didn't understand what was happening?
Good question. With that weak fight choreography, I assume you're talking about, obviously, tell me if I'm wrong, but I'm assuming you're talking about particularly the fight between Sabine and Shin.
That was the worst one, yeah.
Do you think, obviously, partially purposeful because she's out of practice and she hasn't been training or anything of the sort? Do you feel like she should have done better still? But also she's not a Force user. So she's at a couple inherent disabilities, I guess, comparatively to Shin.
I feel like Shin was clumsier than she should have been. I felt like.
Okay.
I'm fine with how I actually thought Sabine got a little, I thought she maybe could have lost about 30 seconds sooner, but that part was still really cool. Like I have no problem with Sabine's like side of it, but I thought Shin was a little clumsier than she should have been.
Okay, this is what I was thinking. I was thinking Shin was just toying with Sabine.
I was starting to think that too, but it was still a little irksome. It's like, give me a fucking lightsaber fight.
Like if you're gonna toy, like really toy. I'm kind of in the middle there, honestly.
Like, I was thinking maybe there was a couple spots in there where it looked like she was toying with her, and then there was a couple other spots where it just looked like maybe these two just aren't the best at absorbing the fight choreography. Like, that's as good as these two can do physically.
Yeah.
Possibly. Although, maybe the one in the woods will be better that we saw in the trailer.
Probably next episode. I mean, she got sent after them twice in 2 episodes, so I mean, pretty damn cool, honestly.
Well,
John did say that him not seeing Rebels or Clone Wars, it didn't affect him.
Nice.
That's good.
Did you see Harloff's review?
No, I didn't. I didn't see anybody else's review just yet.
Yeah, Harloff had he actually got to go to a theater screening, right? And he took a buddy of his that had not seen Rebels at all. And so, no.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, Ahsoka is just a name to him. Like, he knew who she was because, she ended up being popular and referenced a lot in pop culture, but that's about it. So, and then when they came out of the theater, he also said he didn't feel lost at all. I mean, he felt like there was like a couple inside moments maybe that if you'd seen the shit, you would understand. But like overall, he was like, yeah, I was able to keep up, no problem. So I feel like
what was there, that kind of feels right.
I feel like more people that haven't seen those shows than not will be just fine with this show.
I see that. There were some moments Ahsoka looked slow too.
Yeah.
I've always thought that in live action, part of me feels like they're just trying to be meticulous with her moves and trying to make her like almost, just for lack of a reference, make her feel like almost elven-like in a way, and kind of give her that Force kind of feel in that sense. But also, I think it's a practical thing. I think those mantras that she has are just a lot, and you can't move too quickly. If you do this, they're off your head,
Not to mention, you gotta be careful where you're swinging your sabers. Be knocking your headdress off with a stick while you're filming.
Speaking of which, was Qui-Gon Jinn just a wuss for not surviving a stab in the gut with a saber?
No, he got stabbed in the diaphragm right below the sternum.
Yes. There have been so many people that have been stabbed that it's just kind of like, oh, come on. And I'm with you. I really am. But he was stabbed in a place where like where typically and it was a stab that stuck there too. It was like a stab that was like, let me melt all your organs while I'm at it kind of deal, and not so much like a see ya, which has been most of the other stabs, and that's what we usually get is like a quick cauterizing of the wound, and then it comes out, and it's usually like down here by the spleen or something. And we have seen people like Fennec Shand get entire like midsections of their torsos get replaced. So it's completely possible. My headcanon at least is that Qui-Gon got stabbed in the diaphragm, like you just said, Aaron, and it was just that bad where, hell, if he would have stayed there for a few seconds longer, he might as well just have been melted like Obi-Wan was, It was just the absolute worst spot. He stabbed him in like the central part of the human body. Where
at an upward angle, mind you. So yeah, if he was central, he probably caught spine too.
Oh yeah.
Same thing with well, that should have been Reva because she got stabbed in the same spot as Qui-Gon. Anyway, I'm just
no goes.
Anyway, but yeah, when it comes to Sabine herself in the show, she actually got stabbed in the liver below her right rib cage, which even nowadays in our current medical technology is a non-fatal wound. Mm-hmm. As long as you receive medical attention in a reasonable amount of time.
That's a good question. Do you think the lightsaber is actually a thin blade like the dark saber, but the glow makes it look round? That's actually an excellent freaking question.
If the emitter on every lightsaber outside of the dark saber also wasn't round, I would say possibly. But all the emitters are round.
Oh, that's also a great point. Okay. That's yep.
Like I feel like the dark saber has an actual vertical emitter.
It does.
And like all the lightsabers we've ever seen, or the rest of them are all have emitters like that.
They've got the good old orifice.
Yes.
Ready for it. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
I mean
that was a cool thought for sure, but just the way they're all assembled, nah.
I was trying to put it together in my brain. I was like, could this be a thing? No. You had the immediate like, no. Hold up. Which that makes perfect sense. They're more of a rapier than a sword. Well, kind of. That's more like Ahsoka's like Shoto blades, right? And Yoda's Shoto blade are more of a rapier.
I would actually say pretty much lightsabers are. Count Dooku's style might be the closest to a rapier, but
that's almost more of a colonial like Spanish sword in a way.
that's your fencing sword. That's your Zorro sword. Zorro used a rapier.
Yes.
But I mean Dooku's style is very rapier like. I will say that. His form. Form, what is that, form 4? That's
form
his?
4, I believe, yeah. Is it Sureku?
Don't ask me names.
I'm trying to think. All I know is
Sarisu is Form 3 that Obi-Wan is the master of, as called by Mace Windu, actually. Not a master, the master.
Yeah. And then Mace
which is
Vapad or Vapid. How did I put this hat on a weird way and now I can't get it right? There we go.
Which is technically an offshoot of Form 7 Gemso.
Yes.
I can't remember the name of
names.
Huh?
You knew the names.
I have to trigger the pathway somehow or other. No, but the emitters are still round.
Yes. Her
blades are actually pretty katana shaped.
They kind of are.
But hers are probably I think the only like lightsabers that are.
I can't think of any others off the top of my head. Ahsoka lightsaber hilt.
Yeah, no, they're definitely very katana-like. He's right. Or she, I'm not sure. They're right.
Well, also... Oh, no. Yeah. They're katana, but they do emit a circular thing.
Do they? They're circular emitters?
Let me share this screen real quick.
Yeah.
Before I do that, let me make sure it's on the right page for us. Here we are.
Where are you going to, like Ultra Sabers or something like that?
No, I just Googled it. Ahsoka lightsaber hilt. Because her OG ones are very much just that circular version of it. But then
those are like Clone Wars shit. That's what she's using right now.
Which are still, they have rounded, they're katana like, and then they have rounded hilts at the top.
Oh, they do still have round. They still have circular emitters on them.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, no, the hilts aren't round for sure.
Yeah.
But it comes down. The blade shape is determined by the emitter itself, not the hilt.
Yeah. Because I have her Clone Wars sabers.
Oh yeah, those are definitely your classic, cylinder with circular emitter. I've just got that one Luke one I've showed you before.
Would you use Beskar to build a saber hilt? I would. Why though? Is my question. How would that be beneficial?
If you're Darth Maul, your double-bladed lightsaber can't get cut in half at that point.
But are you mauling it?
Well, literally any it couldn't be cut in half by another saber. Like you could, your standard saber hilt can be sliced in half by another saber.
Oh yeah.
If you have a Beskar saber hilt, then that can't happen. Like it makes your hilt almost indestructible.
But the
probably heavy as fuck.
Happening.
Huh?
the chances of that happening, especially if you're not a dual wielding saberist, I guess.
Yeah. It basically would result in a nigh indestructible hilt. Not 100%, but fucking close.
See, I wouldn't. I don't feel the need for that. But then again, I'm not like a double saber. I wouldn't do a double saber. I'd either do 2 sabers or just the one.
Well, no, like just even a single bladed hilt. On the advantage of Beskar would be like nigh indestructibility.
Damn, wish I wasn't on a tolerance break. LOL. You said I should go grab some joints and grab some the rest of this ounce that I have over here and start rolling some joints is what I meant to say.
I mean, if that's what you want to do.
I mean, you know, I love.
I'm only going to hang for like another 10, 15, maybe 20. Because I got it. It's like almost 1, and I got to be up at 5:30.
Ooh, okay. Well, then I won't do that right now. We can do that any other day of the week, any other time, of course. LOL, I wish. What were we just saying? I blanked too quickly.
We were talking about the advantages or potential advantages of a Beskar hilt, and whether or not we would employ such a thing.
See,
in terms of durability, it would be the bomb. I just don't know how like heavy and therefore unwieldy it would be.
That's what I'm thinking.
I feel like Beskar's part of what makes Beskar impregnable to the saber blade is its density, and when you have dense shit, you have heavy shit. So I mean, I could see like a Wookiee who's not like super attached to like maybe using a Rocher tree for his hilt. A Wookiee could handle a Beskar saber blade pretty effectively, I would imagine.
So I'm glad you just said that, because the absolute favorite hilt that I think I would ever want would be the Rocher tree from the Wookiees. And I feel like it's the most strong per light kind of thing, and it would be the most fluid saber movements that you could have, I feel like. Uh-oh. The Wookiee talk got him. But inhalation therapy is kind of the best kind of therapy. It's my favorite kind. As the Darksaber was built by Mandalore the Great, should it have been Beskar? Yeah. And I guess even though we're talking density and weight and all these kind of things, what did I do? Okay, add to stream. There we go.
Fucking StreamYard just booted my ass.
Yeah, that was so weird. I didn't know what the hell happened.
Yeah, I wasn't even touching my phone that time. As the Darksaber was built by Mandalore the Great, should it have been Beskar? Ooh.
Yeah, that's a good point. Dark Trooper armor. That's a good thing. I said yes, but also like it just would be heavy. Like it sucks that out of every I'm gonna
say because he was Jedi trained and therefore taught how to construct a lightsaber in the Jedi way, then no.
Okay, I see that. So, but the only thing God Emperor Dave Filoni has not done that has done or been, I guess, a part of that I'm not the biggest fan of, besides sequels, of course. Why the hell did they smash the Darksaber? I still don't like that.
Yeah, I did. I never understood that shit.
I don't know where they're gonna go with it, and I don't like the different directions they could go with it. I think it would still be better with a Darksaber there.
Damn it! Who the hell was I watching? And I can't remember. I was watching somebody like, somebody's fucking review of that show after it ended, and they were saying I don't remember why, but it actually made sense. I only remember that it made sense, but there's a way that the Darksaber can be brought back without it being like, gimmicky or stupid. But I can't remember how. But I do remember listening to their theory and being like, you know what? That's fucking plausible.
It's going to be difficult one way or another.
Yeah. Well, I ain't saying it's going to be easy, but at least whoever it was came up with a plausible theory, which, hopefully someone that actually writes for those bitches will also
hear and be accustomed to. Is that a dab you're doing over there, good sir?
Uh-huh.
Oh, you know what? I may not have the time to roll a joint.
Oh yeah,
Did
but
you
you got
know what I may have the time for? A beautiful dab. Ooh, hold up. You mind talking for like 30 seconds?
go for it, man. Do what you
All right,
gotta
I'll be
do.
right back. Right back.
I can't see chat though, so oh wait, yeah, no, I can't see chat though, so what do I want to vamp on? Oh, cool uses of the Force in the show. First of all, I didn't realize from the trailer that Ahsoka was using the Force to grip the blades when she spun herself down into the temple. I missed that until I actually saw that in the show. I thought that was fucking dope.
So Grogu could build his own darksaber? I don't think you build
If he found the appropriate crystal, he could.
like would at this point Bo-Katan wouldn't rebuild the darksaber, would she? It's kind of like, no, I'm the
No,
leader of Mandalore without this symbol now, or whatever.
yeah, no, she's good without it.
So would
I
Sabine do it, or would Grogu do it? Who's the better suitor?
Well, Grogu's the only one that could actually build it, because if you'll recall the conversation between Sabine and Hu Yang where he smacked her around verbally, she has no force.
He didn't say she has no force. He said you suck with the force, is essentially what he said. But
Yeah.
there is no character in Star Wars that has no force. Besides the Yuuzhan Vong. But we don't know if they're actually canon. So like,
okay, well, like possessing like so few midi-chlorians that she's completely inept at Jedi techniques. How about that?
yeah.
That's basically what he was saying, but you know, the way he said it. Which was still fucking hilarious.
It was. Okay, 1 second. I completely grabbed an empty dab fucking thing. Hold up. 1 second.
Yeah, fucking goober. We still love him though, don't we, chat?
Okay, we're back. We're back.
It's part of his
It's been a week in Maine. I had to bring the electric nectar collector, and well, after the camera stopped rolling and it was time to not be working, it was time to be dabbing while we were there.
Were you acting or producing, or what the fuck were you doing up there?
Both.
Oh, nice.
Because technically, I didn't really like get paid all that much for this. I was hired on more as a producer for acting work, which on a small little indie film like this, hey, might as well, you know. It's kind of fun. You're not doing it for the money anyway. You're doing it for fun. And
resume.
And resume, yeah. Credit building, et cetera. And I mean, it was a very tight knit group too. I already knew everybody. I think besides 2 people before I went on the set.
Oh, nice.
The director and executive producer is one of my good friend's moms, so it's like, okay, like she's an entertainment lawyer, and like she's done a couple web series and things like that. So it's not just like willy nilly out of nowhere, but it's also it worked out. It was a fun little thing.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. But while we were there, while you're sitting on a lake in Maine, after you have done 12, 15 hours of filming for a day, what are you going to do besides dab, you know? So I had to bring the most efficient version I could find.
Right on.
Dolph Lundgren quote feels appropriate. It's empty.
How much was that electric nail after your next one?
I was just about to say that. I think it was $60. Not a bad $60.
Did you purchase that online or brick and mortar?
Brick and mortar. The first place I ever saw these, though, were in my hometown in Texas. So they're at just regular smoke shops. And now my dispensary that's right next to me has started to carry them. And when I saw this one there, I have one that I broke this big old glass piece, and I just haven't bought the glass piece for it again yet. So I use it as and it's the old model, I guess, like 2 or 3 models ago. And you can unscrew this part and just use it as like a normal dab pen.
Oh, nice.
So that's what I use that for, because it's like a stronger battery.
Oh, nice.
This thing, which is so light that I may go again. Riding the Mythosaur will be Bo's claim to lead the Mandalorian throne. I read Thorn. Oops.
It's because he typed Thorn.
I know, but I try to correct it.
Yeah. Well, we know what he meant.
Grogu will.
I don't know that anyone's going to be riding the Mythosaur anytime soon. I feel like the combination of Iger cutting all the fat that he's trying to cut, plus all the delays that the strikes are causing, I think changes are coming. I think ideas are going to be shit canned. I don't know that we'll ever really get back to the Mythosaur, at least not in the near future.
Really, I would think the opposite, honestly. I would think that they would, if those are going to like take effect and play a part in the way that I guess they're producing the things in the future, I would think that they would minimize actors and hell, use a puppet and a CGI character as much as possible. And not just that, but even story-wise, that's something to keep people enthralled, even if they're pissed off and they're like, well, shit, I have to keep Disney Plus anyways, just for this cool stuff going on. And if it's just like Mando and Grogu doing a father-son adventure thing, which I'm totally down for, I feel like Mando should be that 24 episode, like 90s, early 2000 kind of television show where it's just like, it's a weekly monster hunt. Like that would be great for Mando, where Ahsoka feels like every second of it felt like a Game of Thrones episode, but sci-fi and in space opera like. It felt like the event television it was supposed to feel like, and that made me very happy. Where Mando has felt like that at times, and Book of Boba felt like it when it had a Mando episode. For Kenobi never felt like it, and Andor did feel like it to a degree, but it was more like of a small prestige television thing. I felt like I was watching like Dexter or Sherlock or something like that, where it didn't feel like that, like, oh, everybody's here to watch it. It was like, okay, this is, everyone will catch up to this eventually, but it might be 5 years from now when people actually start watching this kind of thing, you know? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, the only reason I say we won't see the Mythosaur anytime soon is I don't see where it really has much to do with going into Dave's movie. Like it's over here, and like the main through line's kind of like here. And again, with the way things are going in Hollywood right now, with the cuts happening at all studios and delays, where you're going to have to compress shit at some point if you want to get shit going. Like, I'm not saying it'll never be addressed, but I don't see it being addressed till after Filoni's flick.
Okay. Because Sci-Fi says he thinks that's probably the most applicable place for it to happen. And I could see that just for the sake of introducing something like, or not introducing, but using something and utilizing something that cool and getting eyes on something. But I'm kind of with you, Aaron, about, I don't know how it fits into the grand scheme of things. It definitely fits into some Mandalorian quotas and things like that, but how do you take the Mandalorian, how do you take the Mythosaur off of Mandalore?
I actually just kind of came up with a scenario where I could see it happening in the Filoni movie.
Later.
because the whole premise of the Filoni movie is to bring everything together to face the great threat that Thrawn is going to represent. If you need people that can whoop ass, you need Mandalorians. So I feel like at that point, if you're going to have to involve Mandalorians, and I don't see how you're not gonna, at that point, like whether or not the mythosaur is necessary will be addressed, like for sure, because people are going to have to want to follow her out to, go to war again. So,
yeah, that would also have to be. I love the idea, and you have to use Mandos one way or another because they literally can fly in space. They can fly without vehicles. They have really cool vehicles when they do have vehicles, etc., etc.
and their whole culture and their armory and their weaponry is designed to take out the baddest warriors in the galaxy that they ever ran across, which were Jedi. So fuck everybody else.
The only thing with the mythosaur is they have to have like a planet for it to fight on. So they would be.
Right. Well, I don't know they'd be using it so much in battle as just to establish like total authority, as opposed to authority, because she doesn't have the Darksaber anymore. She's basically in charge by mutual acclaim, and that can fall apart kind of quick. So like if she's like, well, we need to go fight this battle, and there's a few pricks in the back like, no, we don't. Then at that point, the mythosaur will become necessary. She's going to have to ride that mofo and then run everyone off to kick Thrawn's ass.
Okay, we should circle back to Thrawn in a second. But I feel like what you just said is going to happen, and I feel like the armor is going to be part of that because she's 1,000% a Mandalorian. And I don't know how they're going to play it yet, but I would have thought they already would have, but I guess they're not yet. I don't know what they're doing, but something.
Actually, you know what?
Oh.
They'll probably do it. Dexter was awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, Thrawn could. Yeah, if Thrawn attacks Mandalore directly, you know what? The more I think, the more I'm realizing I probably made a snap judgment because now I just figured out how they could do it in Mando season 4, regardless of whether it's a series or a movie.
Yeah, I was about to say you just brought that up. The movie might be a possibility,
but actually, it would probably work better if they make Mando season 4 a movie. Honestly. Because I don't know that you want to really. I don't know what else you're going to do, but you're going to have to make at least part of season 4 that happening. Like, because you're going to need. It'd probably be actually easier if you have the Mando set up and ready to go before you get to the movie. So you would need to do that in season 4.
That makes sense.
So. And I feel it'd be a lot easier to like get the Mandalorians as a whole where you need them to be, and without it being you want to do that in a movie because like trying to drag that out into a series would just be stupid.
Yeah, I mean they could do a bunch of short episodes, but then again, we keep complaining about short episodes, and rightfully so because we want.
Well, I mean, we want more, but we want more good. If you can't give me 45 minutes of good, then don't give me 45 minutes of content. Give me what you can give me of good and then go away.
I do agree with that, though. That's the only caveat to the – because I truly do wish they were like 45 to 55-minute episodes every single time, no matter what we were watching. Besides maybe the animation. Like, animation's one thing. Like, I love it to death, but it fits perfectly with that, like, half-hour mark.
Yeah.
Live action, if you're going to spend that type of cash for it, you better give me freaking 45 to 55 minutes or something.
Yeah.
But if you can't give it to me good, don't give it to me all the way, I guess. Yeah. That's one way to say it, but you know what I mean. Like,
I know exactly what you mean, but I'm such a fucking junior hire.
Oh no! As I was saying it, I was like, I put myself in a corner. I just had to keep going. I was like, I'm keeping going.
I'm just such a fucking 12-year-old when it comes to that shit. So I mean, don't mind me. I'll just sit over here and giggle. But yeah, no, that's Yep, well played.
Well played.
In season 4, Dingy and working for a public security nut. Too much Bo-Katan. Well, I mean, if I feel like at this point they need to go away from that.
Well,
If
honestly,
they want to progress towards the movie, they need to go away from that.
but does he need to progress towards the movie?
Din Djarin himself doesn't.
Can't Din just kind of do his own thing and Grogu just kind of like learn from him in the meantime? Grogu might have like a larger overarching arc like way down the road or something.
Yeah.
But for the next 10, 15, 20, 30 years, hell, even. Couldn't Din and Grogu just kind of hang out and do their thing and hunt bounties and help around?
Oh, yeah.
And of course, when the movie calls for them, they'll come in and help and do these like cool things.
Yeah.
But then they go back and do their thing, and maybe they're not as pivotal as we think they are at the moment.
Yeah,
and
like
it allows time for other characters to thrive.
Season 4 is going to have to set up the movie. Like, it just has to.
But does it?
It really does.
Are you sure though? Because if Ahsoka happens, and then I think Skeleton Crew and Ahsoka could really be the things that herald in the movie more so than Mando.
Well, Ahsoka's going to
just help ancillary characters out.
Ahsoka's going to get thrown to the Republic galaxy. I don't know what the fuck Skeleton Crew is going to do. I know it's supposed to take place in the New Beyond galaxy, but other than that, I have no fucking idea. And I don't know what they would be doing there. I don't know what that show would be doing of any significance while it's there. I think that one's just going to be kind of like along the lines of like your Ms. Marvel is just kind of there for entertainment's sake.
But there's no way it is. It's not. I mean, I guess John Watts could do that and just come in there and pitch something that is like a little ancillary for the sake of it. But if they liked it that much and wanted to put it in this timeline, I'm sure they interconnected it more so. I don't know. Grogu should go back to Luke. Din will hunt Imperial Remnant. That's also another option.
I totally agree with that. I'd like word for word.
Ooh. I don't know why my brain just went there, but would you be down for a Grogu and Jason Syndulla like Young Adventures, like Young Jedi Adventure show or something?
Animated.
Either one. I'd be down either one, honestly.
That one should be animated. You can do more fun shit with Grogu that way.
Okay, that's a good point. But also, if you put Grogu in animation and make him do a bunch of crazy things and then don't allow him to do those crazy things back in live action, does that take away from something or no?
At that point, all they would have to do would be shift from practical to CGI.
That's also a good point. Yeah, because Yoda does some pretty damn cool things in Revenge of the Sith. So
he fucking dude, he debuted his cool things in Attack of the Clones.
That's true too.
Dude, I was literally bouncing in my fucking theater seat like, here comes Yoda. Wait, is Yoda actually going to fucking do a lightsaber duel? And then he pops out his little fucking green lightsaber, and I'm like, yeah. And then he started bouncing around like a fucking toad on crack. It was great. I love that shit.
He's literally a toad on crack. He's a masterful toad on crack.
That's Form 4, by the way, but I can't remember the name of it.
The what?
What Yoda did is Form 4. I just can't remember the name of it. Ataru.
There you go. I kept wanting to say Sarisu, but I know that's 3 that we already covered.
That's
earlier.
3, yeah. You think that huge ring shipped Eye of Sion? Bring Throne's Destroyer back like the Jedi Starfight. Yes, that's its entire purpose.
Okay.
That is literally why they're building it with like its size and all the fucking hyperspace engines that they're throwing on that bitch, like 5 of them, I believe.
We've got some Purgles that were hinted. Do you think they will be utilized by anybody? Do you think Ahsoka will like?
I feel like that's probably how Ahsoka and crew are going to have to get back, because in order for Thrawn, this is what I'm convinced of personally. In order for Thrawn to be the threat, he needs to get out of the New Beyond, which means he's going to get out of the New Beyond over Ahsoka and crew. So they will probably need to hitch a ride on the Purgle to get back to the Republic Galaxy.
That would make sense. Do they do that with Ezra's help or without?
Oh, we're gonna get Ezra in episode 5, bro.
You think 5 or earlier?
5.
5 out of
They're not gonna make the they're not 5 out of 8. They're not gonna make the jump to the new beyond until episode 5. We got 2 more episodes in this galaxy.
Okay.
And then we jump to the other galaxy in episode 5. And we'll have Ezra by the end of episode 5.
Come on, it's
doing Street Fighter 4 shit.
who's the actor? It's Mina Masood or is it somebody else?
I don't fucking remember who's playing Ezra.
Oh, hold up. I got the IMDb right here.
Yeah.
This other page right here. Ezra Bridger. Oh no, it's Iman Esfandi. That's right. I don't know. Yeah, he's in King Richard. I still haven't watched King Richard though. So I don't think I've ever seen the guy in anything. But yes, Eye of Sion is the Supergate from SG1. Which
pretty much.
Pretty damn cool. I'm pretty damn
cool. Much.
I mean,
except the Eye of Sion is literally traveling through hyperspace, whereas the Stargates use wormholes.
And it's much, much further, I guess, because the SG1 Supergates are much, much, much further away, where the this Eye of Sion is just kind of next door. It's the galaxy next door.
Oh, yeah. The Ori Galaxy was from very far away. So
big time.
Supergate, the Hadouken. Yeah, that pretty much.
What is that?
Allegedly, Ezra is going to be throwing around Force Hadoukens.
Oh, is that Street Fighter stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like he's not even going to be using weapons. He's going to be doing Force fucking Street Fighter karate shit.
It's going to be like what's it called? Terracotta or something like that.
Yeah, it'll be Terraskasi with Force applications.
Not terracotta. Terraskasi.
Yeah, but basically that with Force applications. Because he's going to learn how they use the Force in that galaxy, which is different.
I'm intrigued. That's going to be really cool.
If the leaks are even remotely accurate with that shit, it's going to be sick.
Do you think the Night Sisters from their actual home galaxy are using the Force? I mean, I guess it is Force magic in a way, but do you think it's more Force-like in the way we think it is, or is it going to be something like totally freaking different?
Well, the Dathomirian Night Sisters use a form of dark side Force magic. I don't imagine the Night Sisters in that galaxy will be too much different. What's going to be intriguing to me is is they're supposed to have their opposite Light Sisters, and
really?
how their version of light side Force magic is going to look is what's got me excited, because it's only been mentioned that it exists, not like its nature or what it looks like or anything like that. So if that ends up being accurate, that's also going to be like super cool.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that. That sounds really cool though. My brain's just getting giddy just thinking about stuff. The IS Scion needs more hyperdrives to travel between galaxies. Maybe, possibly. Light Sisters or whatever they're going to end up calling them sound freaking cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just so interesting. I guess them mating with Iridonians and then becoming Dathomirian, like a whole different like subspecies of people. Are they going to be looked at differently going back to their homeworld, and how different are those people going to look from like Morgan Elsbeth or Saj or somebody of the
it's going to be interesting to see. That's for sure. I feel like they're going to look less like the Dathomirian witches in the animated series, and they'll look more naturally human, like Morgan Elsbeth does.
Okay.
I think that's the route they're going to end up going.
I'd be happy to believe that the Night Sisters are neutral Force users. That could make sense. like gray Jedi without being gray Jedi in a way.
I feel like the Light Sisters are probably going to be closer to that.
That would make sense.
Honestly,
Just kind of be like, there's good and bad. Focus on the good if you can, kind of deal. But like, hey, nature's
you
nature.
know, it's like we'll handle business if we got to, but other than that, we're chill.
Mhm. Yeah, I don't know, man. That's interesting. That's interesting. Well, episode 3, 31 minutes, right? Isn't it 31 or 32 minutes?
Something like that, yeah. I feel like most of it's going to take place on that planet where the star map was, because that's where they're headed. That's where they're headed next, if I recall planet names correctly.
Do you think Elsbeth and Balin and Shin and Marok will all still be there?
Yeah, that's like I feel like we're gonna have basically all the trailer footage done at the end of that episode. Then we'll get episode 4, and then we'll be in the New Beyond. Like that fight you see between Balin and Ahsoka, we're inside that thing with the star map going. I feel like that's next episode.
Yeah, that makes sense. Do you think that'll be them almost licking their wounds while the multitude of them head to the New Beyond and get kind of acquainted, and that's that's how we get acquainted to it with them. The guys get in there.
I'm not 100% sure how they're going to work that part out yet. Like, because if I'm right, and Ahsoka and Balin, well, they have to be fighting there in the next episode because that's where we're at. I'm still not sure how Ahsoka and crew get to the New Beyond without being on the Eye of Sion. You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah.
I have not picked. I can't think of a good alternative for that, and nor can I figure out how they're going to get them on there.
Pergil.
Yeah, but Ezra's, as far as I know, Ezra's the only one that's ever been able. I mean, unless Ahsoka's going to be able to summon him.
I mean, maybe Ahsoka tries real hard or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
Will the Force even exist in the New Beyond? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
To a degree of some sort. Like the Force is probably the same everywhere, but kind of like, how different. The way I'm thinking of it, it's like, how different religions kind of all think the same thing, and they just kind of call it different things.
Yep.
I'm kind of thinking that's what different galaxies do, and they all have like these religious kind of gurus that have these magic powers, and they just all kind of have different perspectives on the same thing. Yep. And that is the Force, and whatever they intend to call it wherever they're from.
Yeah, Force is universal. How you interpret it and access it is up to you.
Yeah, that's a perfect little summation of that. Yeah. Yeah. Shoot, man, I'm pumped for episode 3.
Oh yeah, I think it's going to be sick.
I'm kind of sad it's only 31 minutes, but because it is 31, 32 minutes, whatever it is, I hope and expect that it's just chock full of coolness, which, judging from the first 2 episodes, it should be. Because it felt like an hour and a half of film. Like, I could legit go watch those again right now and just be completely happy. I'm not going to, but I could. Proto sabers would be cool, but there could be a whole different type of weapon out there too that we have no idea of. You know how the Night Sisters use energy-based weapons? I guess they could kind of do something of that sort, but make it more energy-based. I don't know.
There's an army out there, all right, though. That's for damn sure.
There's probably a multitude of armies. Honestly, what is the weirdest Force thing that you could think of? Give me the weirdest Force power you could think of off the top of your head. I don't even know what mine would be, but I'm thinking like Force Green Lantern shit. Like, just something.
I don't know. I'd probably like hone my mind powers to like the finest point possible. Get myself as close to a Force version of Professor X as I possibly could. I think that would be dope.
That'd be cool.
How they're always saying the Jedi mind trick only works on the weak-minded. Not anymore, bitch.
Not anymore.
That if I could do that, that's what I would. If I could do that, that's what I would do. I'd be the force. I'd be the force user version of Professor X.
Would you have a Cerebro of your own?
Nah.
They use the Schwartz.
Never underestimate the power of the Schwartz.
It's the power of the Schwartz. So much Schwartz.
Holy fuck! It's 1:15. All right, I got a dip, bro.
Yeah, we're at 1 hour 55 minutes on this thing. Thank you for everybody that's been hanging, but I it's pretty late on my end. I know it's late on your end. Thank y'all for hanging out. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. We're trying to get monetized, and not only we, but Chilling in the Basement. So go like, subscribe, hit that notification bell over there.
Yes, please.
Help us both out. We'll help you out with a lot of more fun content and things to talk about because, that's what we like to do. That's what we're here to do. Yep. Thank y'all for being a part of it, and we will see y'all very soon. Let me hit this very fun little outro, and we'll give you all